corner from the cathedral, lived before the war 2 blocks from the cathedral, a place called Verdun Terrace that was almost any Russian that you talked to from Shanghai was either lived in Verdun Terrace or somewhere near the cathedral. The main street by the cathedral was Paul Henry, small street, residential street, beautiful trees around it. And it was really, although it was a French concession, you saw Russians just all over.
Vladika knew my family from Shanghai. My parents met in Shanghai, were married there. My 2 older brothers were born in Shanghai. My twin brother and I, we were born in San Francisco. So I knew about Vladika from my childhood. When Vladika arrived in Shanghai, he noticed the many children, orphans or not, but who were homeless.
Vladika loved children. He started an orphanage called Tikhonozadonsky.
Altogether, almost 2,000 children had passed through the orphanage. Some for maybe just a few days or weeks, others for a few years, but on the whole, he himself told me almost 2,000 children.
When we were young, we used to think we saw a night ghost, as we saw a shadow moving in the dark. Only find out later that was our Bishop John checking on us. He wanted to check how every child was. He visited our rooms and blessed all of us with his hand cross. Bishop John also would inquire from our caregivers to see how everyone was. Our Saint John might have been short in stature, but to me, he did not give impression of being small. He was a swift walker. When he came into the room, he stood out, and everyone felt drawing toward him. He had a pleasant baritone voice with attentive, bright, kind look in his eyes. He had smiles for children and adults. He did not eat much, I remember, but his hands, I often wondered that they were not bony like you would have expected. His hands were nice and soft as we kissed him. The important one thing he installed in all his children was to learn early by heart, morning and evening and few other prayers, and still we are well into our old age, say our holy prayers to our heart, flowing easily with his blessing.
One day, it was Chinese New Year. It was snowing outside. I was fortunate, I was living in Archirevsky Dom. And I was going upstairs. I lived on 3rd floor. On the 2nd floor, Vladika Jan opened the door. He says, "What will you be doing?" I said, "Nothing." He says, "You want to go with me to the Red Cross?" Because one of the boy from orphanage was found in the street and the Red Cross hospital. So Vladika and I, we went there, snowing, to the Red Cross, walking to его причастить, because he was sick.
Give him communion.
Give him the communion, yes.
Первый раз я встретил Владыку Яна, это было в Шанхае в 1934 году. У меня даже есть карточку, я хочу вам показать. Вот где я. Мне было 2 года.
Вот так наклоните чуть-чуть.
2 года мне. Это мой отец, конечно, это святой Ян. Вот я хочу про мою семью рассказать вам, как мы приняли православие в Шанхае, в Китае. Моя прабабушка Ирина приняла православие, также и мой дедушка Серафим, и мой отец Иона, и, конечно, мы все приняли православие. Папа был военный человек, и он боролся с японцами, когда во время оккупации, и боролся с коммунистами. Японцы пришли в 1937 году в Шанхай. А когда его арестовали, положили в тюрьму, тогда владыка Иоанн меня принял в приют.
И в котором году это было?
Это было в 1943-1944 году. Когда война закончилась, в 1945-м я приехал обратно домой. А когда уже китайские коммунисты пришли, надо честь мой снова положил в приют.
At that time, everybody was scrambling to get out. We were lucky enough to go to Japan. My grandfather lived in Japan. He's a priest, was a priest. The others, with Bishop John, like about 5,000 went. Bishop John, had all the negotiations to allow that to happen, and about 5,000 people went to live in Tubabao, Philippines.
Там проходило время, когда тайфуны, и тогда все филиппинцы уходили с острова, а мы оставались. Сильные ливни, но таких сильных нет. Только как мы выехали до одного православного, там все перевернуло. Трубы, которые провели, все пропало. А пока мы были там, пока владыка благословлял, и филиппинцы сами говорили, что вот пока ваш ходит, вот этот монах, ходит и благословляет на все 4 стороны, все в порядке, все спокойно будет, да.
He promised that everybody would leave the Philippines, and he did fulfill his promise. Some people went to Australia, some people went to South America. There was a lot of people that were basically homeless. Vladika would come to the United States, would sit on the steps of the Senate, the United States Senate, and one senator noticed that there is this man sitting there with a long beard and everything, and he came up to him, and Vladika said, "This is the problem. We need to get these people out of the Philippines, out of Tubabao."
And Vladika went to Washington to lobby that a bill be passed to allow the people from Tubabao, from the Philippines, to enter the United States.
At first, they didn't pay any attention to him, but he kept sitting there on the steps. He sat there for 2 or 3 days.
He wrote letters asking for, prominent people in Washington to support this, to lobby on his behalf, and but mostly I think it was his prayers.
Finally, the question of bringing Russians to the United States was conquered by Vladika and his prayers, that the United States Senate opened up visas or passports or whatever it was, and there was quite a few Russians that came to the United States.
Православие, правая вера, она есть на землю самим Сыном Божьим. И вот, перед сентябрьским торжеством присоединяются и другие песнопения, когда мы совершаем здесь вооружение. Как раз когда начался Великий пост, который призывает нас